Hawthorne Creek was a town cloaked in secrets. Nestled amidst rolling hills and ancient forests, it seemed untouched by time. Yet beneath its picturesque facade, a chilling tale lingered. Locals whispered of a spectre haunting the rain-swept streets. They called him. Legend claimed he was the ghost of Jacob Marlowe, a drifter who met a tragic end. Refused shelter on a stormy night, he drowned in the rising waters of Hawthorne Creek. Now his mournful spirit wandered the town when rain fell, seeking solace he never found in life. Some dismissed it as folklore, a campfire story to frighten children. However, others bore witness to the spectral figure. They spoke of a tall silhouette shrouded in mist, his sorrowful eyes reflecting the town's lamplight. His voice, a hushed whisper carried on the wind, sent shivers down their spines. The legend of was deeply ingrained in Hawthorne Creek's identity. It was a chilling reminder of the town's past, a spectre that haunted its present and loomed over its future. Lydia sought a fresh start, a sanctuary from her tumultuous past. Drawn by the tranquility of Hawthorne Creek, she hoped to rebuild her life within its quaint charm. The whispers of the town's legend seemed like mere folklore, nothing more. She purchased a small cottage on the outskirts of town. Its weathered shingles and overgrown garden hinted at a life lived and a future yet to be written. As she unpacked her belongings, a sense of peace settled over her. Perhaps this time things would be different. The locals, though wary of outsiders, welcomed Lydia with a reserved friendliness. They spoke of the town's history, its close-knit community, and the changing seasons that painted the surrounding landscapes in vibrant hues. Amidst the mundane, the legend of surfaced, told with a mixture of fascination and fear. Lydia listened politely, attributing their tales to overactive imaginations. She was a woman of logic, not superstition. Little did she know, Hawthorne Creek had a way of blurring the lines between reality and folklore. Her skepticism would soon be tested. The storm arrived without warning, shrouding Hawthorne Creek in an oppressive darkness. Wind howled through the trees, their branches swaying like frantic spectres. Rain lashed against Lydia's windows, the sound a relentless barrage on her senses. Huddled inside her cottage, Lydia tried to ignore the growing unease creeping into her heart. The storm's intensity was unsettling, unlike any she had witnessed before. As the night deepened, so did the storm's fury. The wind seemed to whisper her name, a low, mournful sound that sent shivers down her spine. Lydia tried to rationalize the sound, attributing it to the wind whistling through the eaves, but deep down a primal fear began to take root. The legend of resurfaced in her mind, no longer a mere tale, but a chilling possibility. Suddenly a crash of thunder shook the house, plunging it into darkness. As Lydia fumbled for a candle, she heard it again. Her name whispered with an eerie clarity that left no doubt. It came from outside her window. Heart pounding in her chest, Lydia cautiously approached the window. Lightning flashed, illuminating the scene outside with an ethereal glow. And there, standing in the pouring rain, was a tall, shadowy figure. His clothes were drenched and tattered, clinging to his skeletal frame. His face was obscured by the downpour, but Lydia could sense his gaze fixed upon her. It was a heavy, mournful stare that seemed to pierce her very soul. Terror gripped Lydia's heart, constricting her breath and rooting her to the spot. She wanted to scream, to run, to tear her eyes away from the horrifying spectacle before her. But something held her captive, a strange mix of fear and a morbid fascination. Then the figure moved. He took a step closer to the window, raising a hand as if reaching out to her. As another flash of lightning illuminated the night, Lydia saw it, his face pale and gaunt, with eyes that reflected an otherworldly sorrow. The following day, shaken to her core, Lydia sought answers. The memory of the shadowy figure and his mournful eyes haunted her thoughts. She needed to know if what she saw was real or a figment of her fear-stricken imagination. She found herself drawn to the local tavern, a place where townsfolk gathered to exchange stories and escape the monotony of daily life. As she took a seat at the bar, she overheard snippets of conversations, whispers of the storm and the legend it always seemed to awaken. Mustering her courage, Lydia inquired about. The tavern fell silent, the patrons exchanging uneasy glances. Finally, an old woman, her face etched with the passage of time, spoke up, her voice raspy but filled with a strange certainty. She recounted the tragic tale of Jacob Marlowe, the drifter who sought shelter on a stormy night, but was turned away. She spoke of his untimely demise in the rising creek and the restless spirit that now haunted the town. Days turned into weeks, but the encounter with the ghostly figure continued to haunt Lydia. Sleep offered no escape, her dreams plagued by visions of the rain-soaked spectre and his sorrowful eyes. The storm and the fear it ignited within her had irrevocably shattered her peace of mind. The whispers started subtly at first, barely audible murmurs that she dismissed as her imagination playing tricks. But they grew stronger, more insistent, especially when rain threatened the town. Lydia could hear her name carried on the wind, a mournful plea that sent shivers down her spine. The townsfolk noticed a change in her. Her once bright eyes now held a haunted look, her demeanor reflecting a growing terror she couldn't conceal. They whispered amongst themselves, speculating about the reason behind her sudden transformation. Lydia tried to confide in them, to share the terrifying truth of what she had seen and heard, but the words caught in her throat, fear rendering her unable to articulate the horrors that plagued her. She was trapped in a nightmare, haunted by a ghost and her own inability to escape its grasp. Another storm gathered on the horizon, casting an ominous shadow over Hawthorne Creek. The wind howled, carrying with it the scent of rain and a growing sense of dread. Lydia felt a strange pull towards the approaching tempest, a mix of fear and an unsettling allure she couldn't explain. The whispers intensified, echoing through her mind, no longer just her name, but pleas for help, for release. They seemed to emanate from the heart of the storm, beckoning her towards the churning darkness that approached. Logic dictated she should seek shelter, board up her windows and wait out the storm's fury. But a force beyond her control, a dark magnetism she couldn't resist, drew her towards the approaching deluge. As the first raindrops began to fall, Lydia made a decision. She would confront her fears, seek out the source of the whispers, and uncover the truth behind the ghostly presence that haunted her every waking moment. Driven by a will not entirely her own, Lydia stepped out into the raging storm. Rain lashed at her face, the wind tearing at her clothes as if trying to drag her back into the safety of her home. But she pressed on, drawn towards the heart of the tempest. The whispers grew louder, guiding her through the darkened, rain-soaked streets of Hawthorne Creek. They led her past shuttered houses, their occupants hiding from the storm's fury, their faces peering out from behind curtained windows. Finally, the whispers led her to the edge of town, to the bridge that spanned the swollen waters of Hawthorne Creek. It was here, legend had it, that Jacob Marlowe had met his watery demise. Standing on the bridge, buffeted by wind and rain, Lydia felt a presence beside her. She didn't need to turn to know who or what stood there. The mournful eyes, the rain-soaked clothes, the air heavy with sorrow, it was closer than ever before. He reached out, his spectral hand passing through hers with an icy chill. His touch sent a jolt through her, a strange mix of terror and a profound sadness that seemed to emanate from his very being. His whisper, no longer carried on the wind but echoing directly in her mind, spoke of his pain, his regret, his longing for peace. "Help me," he pleaded, his voice a mournful echo of the wind whistling through the trees. "Help me find my rest." Lydia, caught between the desire to flee and a profound empathy for the tormented soul before her, found herself nodding. Without a word, she took his hand, her fingers passing through his ethereal form once more. The world dissolved into a blinding white light. The storm raged around them, but Lydia felt strangely detached, as if she were no longer a part of this world. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the light faded. Lydia found herself standing alone on the bridge. The storm continued to rage, but the whispers had vanished. So too had the ghostly figure of. All that remained was the echo of his plea for help and an unnerving silence that settled over the storm-ravaged town. The following morning, as the storm subsided and the sun cast its golden rays upon a rain-washed Hawthorne Creek, a chilling discovery was made. Lydia was gone. Her cottage stood empty, her belongings untouched, as if she had simply vanished into thin air. The townsfolk searched for her, scouring the surrounding woods and dragging the swollen creek, but their efforts proved futile. No trace of Lydia was ever found. She had disappeared as completely as if she had never existed. Whispers of the missing woman spread through Hawthorne Creek like wildfire. Some speculated that she had fled the storm, seeking refuge in a neighbouring town, her sudden departure fueled by the terror that had gripped her since the night she first encountered. Others, however, whispered of a more sinister fate. They spoke of the legend of Jacob Marlowe's restless spirit and the possibility that he had claimed another soul, dragging Lydia down into the depths of Hawthorne Creek to share his watery grave. The truth, like so many things in Hawthorne Creek, remained shrouded in mystery. Lydia's disappearance became another chapter in the town's haunted history, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked beneath its picturesque facade. And so, the legend of continued, passed down through generations, a cautionary tale whispered on stormy nights, a testament to the enduring power of fear and the mysteries that lie at the edge of our understanding.